Hi Harry, hi Olivia. Hope you've had a lovely day today. It's been really sunny, hasn't it? So back to the Enchanted Wood. And if you remember yesterday, the children had met Mr. Saucepan Man and they wanted to get him to come and have tea with Mr. What's his name. So, and he was very deaf, do you remember? He kept mistaking words. Well, he said he would like to go and have a cup of tea. So, tell me where Mr. What's his name is, said Saucepan Man. He's sitting on the ladder leading from the faraway tree to your land, shouted Joe. He's waiting there. Yes, for me, said Moonface in a whisper. Shh, said Fanny. The Saucepan Man gave a yell of joy when he heard where his old friend was, and he set off for the cliff, shouting in delight. Hooray! I've come to the faraway tree and I can see my friends again, and Mr. What's-his-name is waiting for me to have tea with him. Come on, come on. Up the cliff he went, treading on the saucepan steps, his own saucepans and kettles rattling and banging all around him. The children and Moonface followed. The Saucepan Man ran helter-skelter to the hole that led down to the topmost branch of the faraway tree, dropping a few saucepans on the way. When he got there, he peered down and saw Mr. What's-his-name sitting on a ladder, watching for Moonface. But the Saucepan Man didn't know that, of course. He thought that his friend was waiting for him. Hi, hi, he yelled, dropping a saucepan on top of Mr. What's-his-name in his excitement. Hi, old friend. Mr. What's-his-name watched the saucepan bouncing off his foot down the branch of the faraway tree and wondered who it would hit. He looked up in amazement when he heard his friend's shouts. Saucepan, he yelled. Dear old Saucepan, fancy seeing you. Glue, said the Saucepan Man, suddenly hearing all the wrong again. Glue? No, I've not got glue with me, but I can soon make some for you. Still the silly old saucepan, aren't you? Cried Mr. What's-his-name. Come down here. I didn't say anything about glue. Come and have a cup of tea with me. The kettle's boiling. I don't want oiling, said the Saucepan Man, though he really sounded as if he did. He was so full of clangs and clatters. I'll come and have tea and a talk with you. Hurrah! He put his foot on the ladder, but unfortunately he stepped on a kettle that had got round his leg, and down he went, clatter, bang, crash, smash, clang. Mr. What's-his-name caught at him as he went past, and down he went too, rolling off the ladder, down the branch, past Moonface's door, and down the tree. There they go, said Moonface in delight, all mixed up with kettles and saucepans. What a joke. They'll give old Mother Washalot a fright if they fall in her wash-tub. The children laughed till they cried. The old Saucepan Man was really so funny, and they couldn't imagine what people in the tree would think as he rolled down with such a clanging and a banging. It's quite safe to go down now, said Joe, peering down the ladder. They've disappeared. I shouldn't wonder if they're at the bottom of the tree by now. Come on, Moonface. So down the ladder they all went, slid down the topmost branch and opened Moonface's door. Silky was still there, looking scared out of her life. She gave a scream of joy when she saw them. Why are you looking so frightened? Asked Moonface, giving her a hug. Oh, goodness, a thunderbolt or something fell out of the sky just now and rolled crashing down the tree, said Silky. That was only the Saucepan Man and Mr. What's-his-name, said Joe, laughing, and he told her the whole story. Silky laughed till her sides ached. She ran out of the door and peeped down the tree. Look, she said, pointing. Can you see how far down they are? They all looked, and they saw Mr. What's-his-name and the old Saucepan Man climbing painfully up to Mr. What's-his-name's home, both talking together at the top of their voices. They've forgotten all about us, said Joe joyfully. Now, for goodness sake, Moonface, don't go putting acorns into What's-his-name's mouth again. Let's have something to eat, and then we must go home down your slippery slip. So they all five sat round Moonface's funny room and ate some pot biscuits that Silky fetched, and drank acornade, not lemonade, acornade, which was made of acorns and was so delicious. Then it was time for the children to go, and they chose their cushions, sat at the top of the big tree slide, pushed off, and flew down the inside of the tree, sliding round and round till they shot out of the trap door at the bottom, onto the cushions of moss. Then they ran home as fast as they could, for they were very late. "I expect the old saucepan man's gone back to his queer little land by now," said Joe, as they turned in at their gate. But he hadn't. He came to see them the very next day, his saucepans clanging so loudly that Mother looked quite alarmed. "Whoever in the world is that?" she said, as the saucepan man came in at the gate. Mother and the children stared at the queer old saucepan man as he came in at the gate. He wore an extra large size saucepan for a hat, and as he came, he knocked 2 pans together and sang a queer little rhyme like this: "2 beans for a pudding, 2 cherries for a pie, 2 legs for a table with a high diddly-die." At the last die, he banged on the door with a saucepan. Mother opened it. "Don't make such a noise," she said. "No, I haven't seen any boys," said the saucepan man, and he clashed his pans together so loudly that Mother jumped. Then he caught sight of the children and waved to them eagerly. "Oh, there you are! Moonface told me where you lived." "Whoever is he?" said Mummy in a wonder. "Children, is this old man all right?" "Oh, yes," said Joe, hoping that Mummy wouldn't ask them too many questions. "Can we take him into the garden and talk to him, Mummy? He makes such a noise indoors." "Very well," said Mummy, who wanted to get on with her washing. "Take him along." "A song?" said the saucepan man obligingly. "Did you say you wanted a song, madam?" He began to sing again and crashed his pans in time to the song. "2 bigs for the pantry, 2 shoes for the horse, 2 hats for the tigers, pink ones, of course." The children hustled him out of the back garden. "That's a very, very silly song of yours," said Bessie loudly, right in his ear. "What's it called?" "It hasn't got a name," said Saucepan Man. "I make it up as I go along. It's quite easy. Every line but the last one begins with the word 2. I'm sorry you think it's silly." He looked rather offended. Then suddenly he smiled and said, "I've come to ask you all for tea in my cottage." "Will Mr. What's-his-name be there?" asked Joe, who wasn't at all anxious to meet him again. "Yes, you better brush your hair," said the saucepan man, looking at Joe's untidy hair. "I will. I said, will Mr. What's-his-name be there?" said Joe loudly. "Something in the air?" said the saucepan man, and he looked up anxiously. "Not a thunderstorm, you don't mean?" "No, I certainly don't mean a thunderstorm," said Joe with a groan. "Yes, we'll come. We must ask Mummy first." Mummy said they could go, though she still didn't like the look of Mr. Saucepan Man. "Good day," she said to him as he went off with the children. He really was the most peculiar sight, but he had such a twinkly sort of face that the 3 children couldn't help liking him and trusting him. Excuse me. They soon came to the faraway tree and soon saw that Moonface had thought of a marvellous idea. He had borrowed Mother Washalot's biggest washing basket and let it down on a rope. Then as soon as they were all safely in it, he and Silky meant to haul them all up to save them the long climb. And there's a picture there. There's the saucepan man, and there's Silky with her lovely hair, and there's the 3 children. "That's a really good idea," said Joe, delighted, and they all climbed in. It was a bit difficult to get the saucepan man in, but they managed at last, though he seemed to find it very uncomfortable to sit on his saucepans. "Up we go," shouted Joe, as the basket swung up through the branches. It ran very smoothly, and the children enjoyed the ride. At last they came to a big branch and stepped out on it. It was quite near Moonface's house at the top. Moonface was there, winding up the rope, a grin as on his big shiny face. "How did you like that?" he asked. The saucepan man looked at him anxiously. "Cat?" he said. "Another cat? Dear me, I hope it won't escape into my land. I've got mice there." "Now he'll go looking for cats again," said Bessie. And sure enough, the saucepan man began to peer here and there, calling, "Puss, puss, puss, puss." "Never mind him," said Moonface. "Go on up the ladder. He wants you to go to tea with him in his funny saucepan-y house." "Come on, saucepan man," said Joe. "If you want us to come to tea, we'd better go." The saucepan man heard. He stopped looking for cats and ran up the ladder. With a bound, he was through the hole in the cloud and right above. And no sooner had he gone out of sight than he began to yell, "Ow! Ow! children listened in alarm. Whatever's the matter? Crash, bang, crash, smash. He sounds as if he's rolling about all on his kettles and saucepans, said Betty. What can he be doing? Ow! Shouted the saucepan man. Stop it! Ow! Somebody must be attacking him, cried Joe. He leapt up the ladder. Come on, everyone. We'll soon send any enemies off. He shot up the ladder, followed by Bessie, Fanny and Moonface. They all clambered through the hole in the clouds and stood in the land above. But oh my goodness me, it was no longer the land of the saucepan man, that tiny little cloud-edged country. It was another land altogether. My land's gone, shrieked the saucepan man. I didn't know it had. This is somewhere else. Oh! No wonder he said, ooh. The bit of flat field he was standing on suddenly gave a shiver, like a jelly, and then just as suddenly tipped itself up so that it made a hill. The saucepan man rolled down it at top speed, all his pans clattering like milk churns on a railway station. This is rocking land, said Moonface in dismay. Quick, come back to the ladder and get down the hole before we have forgotten where it is. Saucepan man, come over to us. Bus? Did you say bus? Shouted back the saucepan man, picking himself up and looking round. I can't see a bus. I'd like to catch one. Come here to us, shouted Joe in despair. The hole through the clouds is still here. We must get back again quickly. What's going to happen? Are they going to get back? Or are they going to get stuck in another funny land? Well, you're going to have to come back tomorrow and find out. Lots of love from Grandma. Bye.